Hi everyone, thanks again for tuning into Pugs and Stilettos. Today I'm actually making a headband out of this beautiful African cloth. It was given to me as a gift. This is a material that's not very stretchy. I know the person who gave this to me is probably cringing as she's watching this. I promise I will make you proud. I didn't use the entire thing because it was pretty large, so I still kept a big section of it that I could still use as a head wrap, but I wanted to make a headband out of the rest of it because it was just way too big and the material is way too gorgeous to not use it. So I'm going to be making one of those crisscross headbands. I'll try to insert a picture right here that has an elastic on the back, and it requires a material that doesn't have a lot of stretch. So I did watch a video by a young lady, which I will insert here. And her measurements are to have 420 by 8 of pieces, plus one piece of a 5 by 10, and then an elastic, which I'm going to have to insert because I don't remember the size of the elastic. But I know that the elastic has to be 1.5 inches wide because that's what I actually ordered from Amazon. I'm a curly girl and I'm in my curly journey, and I'm just trying the easiest ways to just tame my hair because I'm still learning how to manage it. It's exciting, but I'm still learning how to manage it. So I'm trying to make things that make my mornings easier as I go along. So just to show you, this is pretty much the width, but this actually has 10 yards. So I'm a sewer, so it's not going to go to waste. So as I'm cutting this, I realized that I was only able to cut 3 pieces and I needed 4 at 20 by 8. I actually cut them a little bit wider because they're 20 by 8.5, which is fine. But as I'm cutting, I'm like, oh my gosh, the length that I cut is I was only able to get 3 of the 20 inches. So that being said, I've decided to modify it a bit because since my pieces are bigger, the concept is that I'm going to sew these together. Sew these and you fold it in half, inside out. And of course, once you sew the edges, you're going to then turn them inside out. And then the concept is, I'm sure you guys have seen it. It goes crisscross like this, and then it'll go over your head, and then the elastic attaches on this side. So this is the concept of what I'm trying to make. It was supposed to be, I guess, a lot wider, but I guess you can also fluff these out to make them, really wide. And it requires for you not to have a material that stretches. So I'm really excited about getting started with this. So I'm going to go to the sewing machine, turn this inside out, which I said, this fabric is absolutely gorgeous. Turn these inside out, just sew down the seam here, maybe like 1/4 inch, and then you invert them back and flip them to the right side. So I'm going to go to my sewing machine and sew these together, and I will be right back. Okay, so I was at the sewing machine, and what I did was I closed up the seam, and now basically you just have to turn it inside out. Because these are pretty wide, you can just kind of grab the other end, but if not, you could have just used a safety pin to run through the other side. So I ended up with 2 of them. All right, so like I said before, this elastic is 1.5 inches wide. You need a 5-inch cut of this elastic, and then this is the other piece that's 10 by 5.5. I actually cut it at 10 by 6. So what you're going to do now is take this to the sewing machine, put the wrong side out. You're going to sew. What you want to do is sew. You could have actually cut this much shorter, but you want to cut enough of a seam to allow the elastic to fit inside. So then you're going to be removing this. So the recommendation kind of is to fold it and kind of crease it, and it just kind of makes a line for you, if you could see that. Okay, so I'm going to go to my sewing machine. Once this is done, you want to turn this inside out, and then we're going to insert the elastic and sew them on either ends. I'll be right back. Alrighty, so at this point I made the seam. Obviously you do not need to cut this piece so wide. You could use a much smaller piece. So I'm going to grab my scissors and cut off some of the excess. And what we're going to do next is turn this inside out. You could use a safety pin, whatever you'd like, because this could be a little bit challenging to flip it around. So I'm going to grab my safety pin. I'll be right back. All right, so I was able to use a safety pin, and basically what you do is you grab a safety pin, you'll pin it to the side, and then you fish it through so you could turn this inside out. You want to get the seam flat in the center of the piece. Now you're going to grab your elastic. You're going to take it, you're going to fish it in, and you're going to sew it on one side. And I'm going to go do that at the sewing machine, and I will be right back. Alrighty, so as you can see, the elastic is actually inside here, and I sewed on this side. So now we have to fish it through to the other side and catch it. This is probably where you should have left a safety pin inside, which I forgot to do. All right, so we have it here. So what you want to do now is move this all down, and again the seam's in the middle. You want to clean up these edges. All right, and we're going to now tack it and sew it on this side. All right, so here we have the piece, and the elastic is inside. So now what you're going to do is you're going to grab these pieces. You want the sewn seam on the edges like this. All right, you're going to grab the other one. Make sure that the seam that you sewed is flat on the edges here. All right, and you're going to crisscross them. So you're going to cross this one over with this one. All right, and then you're going to grab the other two, and you're going to connect them this way. Okay, so now we have this. All right, so now we're going to grab this, the seam facing you, and we are going to put this in the center. And what you do is you bring this over this way and this over this way, and you're going to sew up back and forth right here to secure it together. Okay, and I'm going to go to the sewing machine to do that. All right, so I went to the sewing machine and I sewed this piece back and forth. So now the elastic is tucked in here. We're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So we're going to grab, facing up, we have this side together here. Same concept. We're going to lay it in the center, and we're going to sandwich one side over the other, go back to the sewing machine, and sew. All right, so put it right in the middle, this side over, and then line them up this side over, and then you're going to go to the sewing machine and sew a couple of times. Alrighty, and if all went well, when we flip this around, it should be sandwiched in nice and snug. See that? And then you have your crisscross on the top. And there you have it, your crisscross headband. Voila, with your elastic with plenty of give. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this DIY. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for tuning in to Pugs and Stilettos. Be well.